historical, ancestral and unceded territory of the Musqueam people. And it's important to note this always, but in particular in relation to events such as this, partly because Professor Saibaba's activism and scholarship has related to Indigenous struggles in India as well, but also the connection between some of the struggles that the scholars we are researching this semester in my course, who have been marginalized for their various activities. We can see links between those forms of marginalization and oppression by the state that we see in relation to Indigenous peoples in Canada and on this land as well. So I think that the recognition of the land that we're on at the moment is incredibly important for this particular event too. And I'll pass it back over to you.
I'll just ask you to stay on for 1 second, which is just, this is Dr. Peterson, and my name is Anne Murphy, and I'm co-director of the Center for Indian South Asia Research, and I've received one of those emails that you want to get, which was someone who was doing really exciting work in her teaching program here at UBC, involving students in really important causes and issues. So as soon as she told me about it, I said, let's, please use CSAR. Let's do something, and we really are committed at CSAR to promoting the kind of dialogue that you really are making possible. And I just want to thank you for getting in touch and making this possible. So we'll pass it on to the students, but just to note, thank you, Dr. Peterson, and thank you for coming, and we'll let the students take off from there.
Thank you very much. Thank you everyone for coming. So my name is Ali, and I'm going to give you a short introduction to Dr. Saibaba's life, basically. So Dr. G.N. Saibaba was born in the coastal district of Andhra Pradesh of India in 1967. He experienced extreme poverty growing up since his family had a hard time providing for the household, and they didn't even have electricity at the time. At the age of 5, he was diagnosed with polio, which eventually resulted in paralysis of his lower limbs. His father grew rice on the 3 acres of land that they owned, but by the time that Dr. Saibaba was 10 years old, his father had lost all the money to money lenders. This meant that Saibaba didn't get access to a wheelchair until he arrived in New Delhi in 2003. So before then, he was forced to crawl. Saibaba was an outstanding student at school and was awarded several scholarships during his study. While in college in the early 1990s, he became increasingly aware of the political atmosphere. Like many others, he began to challenge age-old orthodoxies and instruments of oppression. It was around this time that Saibaba joined the All India People's Resistance Forum, which is also known as AIPRF. Saibaba gained political experience with the Radical Students' Union. He married his wife Vasanta in March 1991, and after their daughters were, Saibaba decided to abandon his PhD in order to become a full-time activist with AIPRF. His wife Vasanta joined the women's organization, and it wouldn't be until 2013 when Dr. Saibaba would finally complete his PhD. As an activist, Saibaba organized protest meetings against imperialist globalization in favor of democratic aspirations of various oppressed nationalities. He remained an active commentator, lending his voice to the cause of peasantry, workers, and other sections of the oppressed masses. Once in Delhi, Saibaba returned to academics. He taught at Sri Venkateshwara University for 3 months in 2003 before moving to RLA. In 2005, the AIPRF evolved into the Revolutionary Democratic Front, which was then accused of being a Maoist or Naxalite front. Saibaba's critique of the government and his active involvement in protests made him a political target, along with other scholars and students. In May 2014, Saibaba was arrested for allegedly operating a Naxalite or Maoist front organization, and he is currently being held in solitary confinement in the notoriously brutal Anda cell in Nagpur Central Prison, and he's been there for over 2 years. He was granted bail in April of 2016, but he was finally sentenced to life in prison in March of 2017. And the latest hearing for his case, which was possibly his last chance of appeal, was delayed for months until it finally got canceled last month, when the courts deemed him fit to serve out the rest of his life sentence.